All right, we're live, and we'll just chat a little bit while we wait for people to start showing up, and then I'll do my intro, and then we're good to go.
Awesome.
All right, how you guys doing?
We're good. We miss you.
Oh, I mean, that's really why I invited you guys this week, because A, I thought it'd be really good to do like a wrap up of the con, and also I just miss you guys so much.
Dad doesn't look impressed. He wants his coffee.
Oh, I have my coffee right here.
Yeah.
Let the force be. Hey, your mug matches my t-shirt.
There we go. Very nice. So, yeah, so the flight back was fine. No problem.
Oh, right. They let you in fine?
Yeah. And what's funny, too, is you're coming into the States. The guy at the border, I handed him, because I got like a significant amount of cash in my bag. I'm like, is this guy gonna grill me or whatever? And he looks at me, he looks at my passport, and just like, get in here, you silly American. I was at customs for like 3 seconds in the States. Like, I don't know. He doesn't care. Get back in, you goofy prop maker. All right, cool. Well, things seem to be settled down over here. We got Emerald City Comic Con coming up, so we're in full production mode for that. I see you guys have something going on this weekend. You're making something new.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this cosplay last year, but because of the monster, we've got spare foam and spare green paint. It makes perfect sense.
How convenient.
I know. How funny. We didn't even plan it. But yeah, I'm doing Dr. Connors.
Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be cool. All right. Looks like people are showing up. Why don't we start? This thing?
Yeah.
I got. For some reason, I'm using 2 computers now. I'm really confused. All right.
I'm jealous.
Here we go, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Prop Live. We missed it last week because I was traveling abroad, but we're back again this week, and this is the show, live show we do once a week, where we take your prop and costume making questions and answer them to the best of our ability. This week, we have a really fun special guest, some friends I saw while I was traveling abroad. Welcome to the show, everyone. Nic and Tabitha from Artyfakes.
Hi. Hi. Hi, guys.
Despite our combined efforts to totally torpedo the show, we are live. Everything is working right now. Everyone who we've had you guys on the show before, we'll post a link to that previous episode in the notes of this show, so people can go check that out. But those of you who are not already familiar, we've got Artyfakes. If you go to artyfakes.co.uk, you can go see what they're all about. Ta-da! Basically making just the coolest foam props and armor. And I got to see all about it, and I took many notes. What really cool projects have you guys been working on lately?
So this weekend, I'm at another convention, Birmingham MCM. And I'm doing a femme cosplay, which I've only done once before a femme version. So I'm doing Dr. Connors from Spider-Man, the lizard.
But our main project at the moment is the Warcaster armor from a big suit. I think we showed you around while you were here.
Yeah, I got to see that firsthand, and it's looking really, really cool. And it's made out of plastizote.
It is.
So you've now found where you can
not formats.
Yeah, so while I was there, I grabbed a bunch of the materials that they like to use, did a bunch of research, and now I'm looking for places to source that in the States. I found a couple of them. I like it. It's because I used L200 for my armor, and I liked how unprocessed it was compared to the floor mats that I like to use. It doesn't have the texture on it. So like laminating layers together is really easy. You don't have to remove the material. But the plastizote I liked because it was more dense, a little bit more rigid, and really, really nice. So I found a place in Texas that has it, and I'm going to let everyone know as soon as I get my hands on some of that stuff.
It should be the same.
Can you get it in all densities and sizes?
Yeah, they had different colors. They had different densities. They had size. So they had like the LD45, which is what I really liked. They had like 70. They had a whole bunch of different densities. They had pink. They had all kinds of colors.
Yeah.
So I'll dive in.
We don't need pink.
We don't have pink.
No.
Great, stick with the greats. Fine.
LD45 is really great. It does literally anything. Armor,
yeah.
swords.
We have a place here in north of me in Bellevue. I was going to go up there. There's a place called Tap Plastics that I really like. Those guys are awesome. In the same plaza is a foam store. And generally they sell like upholstery foam and that sort of stuff. But I'm going to see if I can like get stuff ordered through them. That way I don't have to order like, I don't know, like $5,000 worth of foam at a time. I don't know. All right.
So what are you working on at the moment?
I just finished a bow. Actually, let me show you real quick because I have a photo. Let's zip over to my page. Close my things here. I just finished this bow. Someone wanted a steampunk version of the character Merida from Brave.
Ah, yeah.
And where is it? Come on, computer. Get your act together. New computer. No computer's crapping out on me. Here we go. Anyway, so I went and designed this bow from scratch. There it is. And I'm pretty proud of it. So here we go. There's a bow. It's all made out of wood and leather and brass. So,
wow.
Yeah.
But that's heavy.
It's a little heavy. There isn't a ton of brass on it, so it's not too bad. But they wanted it to look all steampunky, so I designed that. And yesterday I finished up the scabbard I made out of leather and the arrows and stuff. I glued the fletching on the arrows and everything. So that's what I've been working on since I got
that a laser cut little pendant type thing I see on top of that?
Yeah, the pendant is like the family crest from Brave, and I did that in the laser cutter. I made a mold of it, and then I cold cast it with some brass powder.
Awesome.
So yeah, anyway, we just hot off of London Super Comic-Con, my first international convention. Got to hang out with you guys a whole bunch. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I had a ton of fun, and I saw lots of awesome costumes. Did you guys?
You were very lucky. That's one of our best conventions, I think.
That's what I kept hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they have a fantastic cosplay competition where the winner gets to go to Dragon Con.
Yes, Ross, the Ursula, is going to go to Dragon Con. I'll be sure to
he's fabulous. He really
a fabulous singing voice, apparently.
I know, because he's got a theatre background, so he's very talented.
Oh, it was obvious. He had 2 different performances, one for each day, and each one he just killed. Like
I missed the first performance. I thought he did the same thing.
No, he did 2 slightly different things.
I think that's good. I think if you're going into a cosplay competition, do not do the same thing both days. You want to surprise the judges.
Yeah, and you definitely you want to plan for it too. Like, be confident that you're going to make it to the second day, so that you actually really nail that second performance, so that you're not scrambling the day of to come up with a new performance. And that's obviously what Ross did. He did the second performance. It was obvious that he had prepared for it for weeks. That or he's just a ridiculously talented performer. Probably a little both. So yeah, we got to hang out a whole bunch. I got to learn a bunch about your techniques, how you guys work with foam. People who are watching live, if you have any questions, we have the event page going, so you can leave questions there, and we'll get to those in a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit. You guys just started doing live instructional things from your shop, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. How has that been going for you?
The training course.
Yeah, the training course. We've
only had one. So
we've only had one because we've only just launched them. But it was very successful.
A great experience. I don't know who enjoyed it more, them or us. Like it was such
And we didn't actually get too much wrong. It's actually really difficult trying to pack all the basics into 2 days. Everyone was really frazzled. They went home.
It was an intense course. Yeah. Like in the evenings, everyone was just like passed out. They're like, I need my bed.
That is cool. Well, I'll tell you what, that's something that I definitely want to start doing here over in the Seattle area. And I'm glad you guys are kind of testing the waters for me.
We'll let you know we covered.
Yeah, the trick for us was trying to make sure what you leave in and what you take out. Mm-hmm. You can't cover everything in one course.
Yeah.
So like your books, I think we will have advanced classes or, different specific for painting techniques or for cutting techniques.
Definitely. the main thing holding me back, and because people have asked to do live stuff here, the main thing holding me back is I work out of my basement, and there just isn't enough room or bathrooms to handle all that. But within the next year, we'll be looking to move, and we'll move into a space where we can do that sort of thing, invite people over.
Yeah, when we moved to our current location, we knew that was on the cards, so we deliberately looked for something that could handle that.
Yeah, totally. Well, cool. And maybe someday I'll get to go to one of your classes and learn a couple things.
I think actually Spitlana, Kamiri cosplay. Yes, I said it correctly.
Yeah, nailed it.
She wants to come down, fingers crossed. So I'm going to pester her, I think.
Good. We'll convert her to the foam side.
To foam.
Yeah, to the foam.
Cool. All right, I'm about ready to start taking some questions, but first I have one or two things to jabber on about. First, we have our Patreon page. Excuse me. And if you go to patreon.com/punishprops, you can go check it out. Again, this live show is always free. It always will be free, but if people want to support it a little bit, you can go there and throw a little coin our way. We've been able to upgrade a little bit. We got some more people jumping in, and I have a new computer that we are running the show off of right now, which I'm really excited. You guys will like this. This is adorable. I'm gonna do this real quick. Look at this. That's
you're gonna like that.
Look at it. It's tiny. It's so tiny. But we were able to save up a little bit thanks to the generous contributions of people supporting our Patreon. And we have a whole bunch more goals. I restructured the whole thing because I want to do more live stream stuff from the shop, kind of like you guys do with your Twitch channel. Twitch.tv/RTfakes if you guys want to check that out. I want to start doing more and more stuff like that, but right now I can't justify the time. But if you guys throw some support at the show, then that makes it easier for me to justify that time.
Yeah, we have the same issue. You do need the support because in the end, you put a lot of time and money into running it.
We've been able to actually add the new camera so people can actually see below, like it's a better angle, like bird's eye view. So yeah, and that was because of the guys that support us. So thank you if you're watching.
Yeah, definitely. I just ordered a second one of these cameras. I have this. I bought this at basically the dollar store. This little eyeball thing. It's really, really terrible. I bought a newer Logitech camera. That'll be in the mail soon. So when I do my live streams from the shop, I'll be able to, with the new computer, with the switching thing. I've got XSplit going, so I can switch all this fun stuff. I'll be able to have 2 cameras, maybe even 3 cameras, swap between a whole bunch of them. Again, and that's thanks to the support of the people who are helping us out on Patreon. So thanks, you guys. Go check that out and help out the show a little bit. All right. You guys ready to take on some questions?
Far away.
All right. Well, we started a little late, so we'll make sure we stick around about 15 minutes and handle all these wonderful questions. All right. Here we go. The first one comes from Matt, and Matt sent 3 questions. I'll get to some of those later, Matt. So we'll just handle this one here. He says, has your paint ever cracked or bubbled after drying, and how did you recover? Sanding the bad area and paint it again? If so, could you tell the difference? You guys ever had paint bubble?
Because we use rubber, so that doesn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do get issues with rubber, you can pretty much cut it or even sand it or even solder iron it flat again, and then repaint it.
It's much more difficult to paint with it, but once it's done, if you do it correctly during the process, once it's finished, it's golden.
Yeah. Most of the stuff I do ends up with prop things end up being pretty rigid. It's got Bondo or wood on it. So if anything happens, or I should say a cast urethane gun or something, if anything goes wrong with the finish, you do always have the option of sanding it down or repainting it, which can suck. It really is a pain. But a really good example of that is my pal Harrison over at Volpin Props was putting together this really nice shield from Soul Calibur. And it looks great. And this finishing work he does is fantastic. He put, I think, a urethane clear coat over the whole thing, and it reacted poorly with one of the paints that was below it, and it started to crackle. And it literally took minutes to just go from a perfect finish to just chaos. And he was pretty upset about the whole thing. But
I can imagine.
Shiver, that's bad.
Yeah, but what he ended up doing was kind of using it. So he refinished it with that sort of crackly texture on there. It actually looks really, really cool.
No one else knows.
Everyone knows. He was pretty vocal about it when it happened. But he ended up just going with that finish. Another good example is Tom from Sorenzo Props, who I also hung out with last weekend. He had a chrome finish he put on one of his Daft Punk helmets, and it went, as you guys say, pear-shaped and bubbled like crazy. And with Daft Punk, you really kind of need it to be that chrome finish. So he took that one, kind of marked it up as a loss, and then he sanded the bubbles off, and then put a patina in the voids left behind, and he made this really cool looking, super rusted out Daft Punk helmet. And it wasn't what he wanted, but it looked really cool. And I think he just threw it on eBay and ended up making a really unique piece out of it. So there you go. A couple ways to make lemonade out of lemons. There you go.
Yeah.
So there's always lots of different options to fix up when things go really bad. All right.
Yeah.
Which you kind of got to do. Yes. All right. Here's one from Trusted Soul. Hey, Bill, if you coat EVA with Epsilon, I hear it's a bit brittle. That's right. Can you Bondo on top of Epsilon, or is there another way to make it less brittle? So have you guys played with Epsilon yet, or have you?
No, we haven't.
Not yet.
All right. Well,
we'll do.
I've used it a couple of times. I used it on my Draugr costume, and I find it worked really well for that because it kind of has a hammered texture on it. I used it on my my current costume, my Destiny Titan costume, and it looked okay, but it is very brittle and it can crack, and it did quite a bit on my current costume. If you put a lot of layers on, I only put 2 layers on mine. If you put 4 or 5 layers on there, it might be sturdy enough to actually go in and use Bondo and stuff to, to fair it out quite a bit. Your only main problem is if you have any areas on the armor that are going to want to bend or flex, and they do, then your Bondo may crumple a little bit. So you may want to do some tests beforehand. But I bet you could Bondo it. There you go. All right. Thank you, Trusted Soul. Next question. Lee says, is there a good way to cut small pieces of EVA foam consistently? He's trying to cut 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/2 inch pyramids using 1 layer of foam. What would you guys do to make, if you had to make a bunch of little spikes or pyramids?
Well, yeah, we use, if it's not too thick, if it's only something like about 18 mil or less, convert that quickly, about 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
We just use the blade, and you just have to accurately try and cut the same angle again and again and again. If they're larger than that, you can actually use some offcuts of foam to give yourself something to lean against. So you can use that to run the blade down. That's the easiest thing. It's practice. What I tend to do is, if I need 8, I cut 12. Right. And I pick the best ones. I still do that.
Yeah. Would you ever use your bandsaw for something like that?
You can do if it's very large. You can angle the bandsaw, but if it's very small, the bandsaw tends to chew them up.
Yeah. Now you guys have, and I've been thinking about getting some of this myself. You have a bandsaw blade that it doesn't have any teeth on it.
Yeah, much better for foam.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get my hands on one of those. They also make, actually, I'll put a link in the show notes. My pal, again, Harrison, because he's a wizard, was showing me McMaster Car, sort of a hardware company that we have out here. Not here in Seattle, damn it. But they do have a website, and they have a crazy amount of a bandsaw blade selection, and one of them is like that. It's a V blade, meaning it's just there's a blade on either edge on either side of the blade, but it's scalloped. It's like wavy, like something you would use to cut bread, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I want to get one of those instead of the 18 TPI metal cutting blade that I've used so far. It leaves streaks on the thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got the room and the money, then obviously you have two. To be honest, I've been meaning to get another one set up because sometimes I need the teeth, but it's a pain to change the bandsaw blade every time you want to use it.
I have You know what? That I'm finding out is very, very common, especially among woodworkers. My friend who's a woodworker has just like the coolest, amazing setup in his shop. I was there, I showed up, and he's got 2 bandsaws right next to one another. One of them is just massive. Why do you have 2 bandsaws? He's like, I don't like changing blades.
Saves time.
Yeah, all right, cool. I'm right there with him, though, because I don't like changing the blade on mine either.
No.
All right, here we go. Another one. So this one's from Kumo. Can you apply resin directly on a foam, or do you need some form of sealing or priming?
Must be you.
I would say it depends on the foam and it depends on the resin, because those can be. So if you have like extruded polystyrene and you have polyester resin, then you'll turn it into a pile of goo. So it really depends. The resin I use is Epsilon. It's an epoxy resin, and I put that on EVA foam, and that works just fine. And that's what I use to seal it. So it really just depends on the specifics of your foam and your resin. But yeah, polyester resin or fiberglass resin, you do want to kind of be careful because that stuff will chew through a lot of different things. Do a test first on a little scrap. You guys usually just use the latex rubber for most of everything. So you ever have to worry about that reacting poorly with what you're spraying it on?
It doesn't really react poorly, but it has it doesn't always stick, and it is a bit of a pain if it's too cold or too hot. So you've got to be aware it's got a good temperature range.
25.
Yeah, about 25 degrees. Otherwise it tends to run off or stick too quickly.
That would be 25 degrees Celsius, everyone. Do not try to apply below freezing in Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it's not that cold.
Funny, goofing around with that. One thing that we thought would be a really great idea working with you guys, I've got my book here, and I'm really good at figuring out this stuff in the United States, the materials, the tools, all that sort of stuff. But a lot of that information does not translate well to other countries. But you guys are going to become my sort of like foamsmith liaisons in the UK. And we're going to work together and figure out a way to translate, like where you guys would get similar type materials from the UK that we can apply to the Foamsmith book and way of life. So look forward to that. A little bit of a collaboration across the pond.
Yeah, because we did actually feel sometimes like we were talking completely different languages.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff, it like you guys have a certain contact cement that you like, and it's obviously different than the Barge that I use. But it's exactly the same. Like you apply it the same. It has the same properties.
It's funny you say that, actually, because at London Super Comic Con last year, when I was judging with Yaya and Ricky, we had the same problem because they were trying to talk to the contestants about, oh, did you use this material? And the contestants just looked baffled. And I'm in the middle going, wait a minute, that's not, I'm really confused right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with some sort of translation device.
Yeah, we'll do that. That'll be great. And I want to try and set up sort of franchises like that all around in a couple of locations, as well as translation too. I know that one thing that Svetlana does really well is she gets her books put into several different languages, which is awesome. I'd like to be able to do not only just translate the words, but try and figure out similar materials and properties all around the world. All right, cool. Here we go. This one's from my pal Kevin. He says, any tips regarding Sintra and styrene for use in armor to someone who's never used either material before? Do you guys ever use rigid plastics for any of the stuff you do? Or?
We are very specific. We stick with foam and latex, and we add a few things to reinforce it sometimes, or if we need perspex in it for digital effects. But generally, we are very specific. Yeah. So no, this is going to go to you.
All right, I'll take this one then. So Kevin... let's see, Sintra and Styrene. So Sintra is a foamed PVC board. It's great to work with because it's pretty lightweight, it's pretty rigid. One major downside, it's made of PVC. You can't cut it in the laser, and if you're sanding it with a Dremel or something and it starts to turn brown, that means it's melting and it's off-gassing chlorine gas. So don't do that. Other than that, it's really great to work with. You can heat form it, you can cut it with saws and knives. If you want to make armor out of it, you can make like organic shapes, but you got to manhandle it. You really got to work it really hard. That's why I prefer using foam for anything that's kind of rounded. If your armor is mostly flat plates, like I made Dragon Age armor, the mage from Dragon Age 2, those are almost very geometric, very flat plates. So I was able to just cut out flat sheets, and I ended up fiberglassing them together, and that worked out really well. So, excuse me, for me, it's really just the application, what you're using it for, and then how much manpower you have to put into making it work. I will say though, my friend, I'll put a link to this down below, but my friend Kai over at Kommissar Props, he made Monster Hunter armor out of it, and it was supposed to look like bone. He did it all out of Sintra, and it looks like bone. He really had to kind of sculpt it a lot, but it worked really well, and it felt like if you hit it with your hand, it felt like solid bone because it's a much more rigid material.
Yes, like a foam board.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So there you go, Kevin. Some things for you to try out. All right. Another question over here. I got two computers going back and forth. Here we go. This one's from Ben. He says, I've started making props at cost so I can build a portfolio. Do you have any advice for someone just starting out? So what he means is he's making props for other people, and he is just trying to cover he's not trying to make any money off of it, so that he can build up his portfolio, which is a pretty good thing to do when you're getting started. What kind of project should I accept? Any tips for getting started? What do you guys think?
Keep it simple at first.
Yeah, don't take on something you think that you can't handle. Make sure you can fulfill the order and do the product.
Yeah, because if you're doing it for your portfolio, you don't want to cock it out.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's the best advice I can give you. Try to stick with things that will grow you, but not faster than you can
keep up with.
You can
there
go.
You go. It's an appropriate level of ambition, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you one thing that that sort of hit me in the face when I went to see your guys' shop is that you guys have a very specific process, but you've nailed it. Like, you've got it down. And I can tell that you didn't start that way, but it's taken you years to get to where that process is sort of locked down. But Ben here is in the beginning stages of that, and probably will start working towards his particular process.
Yeah,
and
I think the other advice I would probably give someone starting out is try various materials. We're very specialized, which does help in the long term, but on the short term, you want people to sort of see that you can handle anything.
Yeah, there you go. Really cool. All right. Thank you, Ben. Good luck with your quest, and I look forward to seeing what you make.
Yeah, good luck.
All right, here we go. This one's from Fearless Facade. He says, "Hey, Bill, just wanted to stop to say thank you for the tips and tricks. You're welcome." And then he says, "Oh, wow, without them, I would never be able to create my first dragon." Or let's see here, Iron Age Iron Man costume." And he says, "Hi" to his fellow British Artyfakes. Hi. All right, not really a question, but we'll take it. All right, this one's from Suzanne. He says, "Hey, Bill, could you ever do a video on the full EVA armor strapping process?" Sure. I mean, I do cover it pretty well in the Foamsmith book. But that's not a bad idea. And I'll tell you what, like, strapping armor on is a sort of thing that's kind of case specific depending on the set of armor that you're doing. But there are a handful of things that I do pretty much the same for all of my projects. Do you guys think that's pretty similar to what you do?
I just think you need to work it out before you start the product, because you don't want to put the stuff in afterwards and go, wait, this isn't actually going to attach.
Yeah, I really needed to reinforce that.
Yeah.
You can add reinforcement afterwards, but it's actually quite nice to try and put reinforcement where you're going to put the strapping inside somehow.
Right.
You can put aluminium sheeting in or leather in, so you don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, think ahead with strapping. That's the big thing.
That's a good idea. And I'll tell you what too, especially when I look back at some of my earlier costumes, now I kind of know what's gonna work. Like, I kind of get it. But when I got started, you forget about things like if you have pauldrons on your shoulder that are fairly large, they're gonna want to slide down your arms. So I'll put like a strap across the back of my neck that attaches them. so that they're not going to want to come apart from one another. And so when I'm building costumes now, that's something and when I'm planning it, I'm like, oh, okay, we'll do that, because I know there isn't going to be any sort of reinforcement there.
Yeah, because unlike computer games, they don't just like float there.
Yeah,
magically.
Yeah, and one of the things that we do, we put a length of webbing down the inside of all of our arm pieces. If you're doing a full arm, we put it down, you know, like just like it holds all the weight, because obviously these things tend to just want to slip down,
right?
And you want to hold them in place. They're not metal, so they won't stay up just on the force from something else.
Also, as well, on a budget, if you haven't got a lot of material or you're trying to keep costs down, you can literally go onto eBay and buy like lots of belts, and you can just cut up belts, and you can use that for strapping as well. That's a really good
we have
tip.
charity shops. We just buy lots of belts sometimes and use those.
Primark. Don't think you guys have a Primark.
No, we have Goodwill out here.
Okay.
Goodwill. We have Value Village in the Seattle area.
It's more like Target, which is like really cheap sort of clothes that you can just get cheap.
Goodwill and Value Village are used clothing.
Oh, I think so.
You can get belts really cheap there. The other thing is, like, thigh pieces I've found can be a bit of a challenge. Someone was asking me about this the other day. Because our legs are tapered, they get thinner as they go down. So the pieces will want to go with gravity and slide down. So what I'll do, like my current costume, I put a snap on my undersuit behind the thigh piece, and I put a strap around my leg that was pretty tight, and that kept it mostly from sliding down and trying to rotate. It kind of stayed in place. So there are lots of little things you can do like that. All right. Thank you, Suzanne, for your question. This one here is from Richard. He says, I'm finishing getting stuff together for my warrior costume for this weekend, but have had trouble making a sheath for my axe. Could you give me any suggestions for something I could use? You guys got this one? You guys had plenty of, like, I saw you had a sword sheath.
Depends on the size, but most people with axes use rings. They use their horse bridle rings. They're metal rings, and they can come in anything across 4 inches across. And you literally put a loop on that, the loop's onto your belt, and that's it. Don't get complicated with sheaths for axes, because they're too cumbersome.
You're going to be able to take it in and
Most
out.
people just make loops. Or you can even make them out of hard leather.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Is that something you could put, like, if you have a really big axe, you could put on your shoulder, you think? Just have a loop right there?
You can do, but you have to, ideally, you want some way of pulling it round so it's on a strap that goes all the way around your body. That you can then just pull down so you can reach the loop and then put it back again. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. There you go, Richard. A couple things for you to try. Don't get too complicated with your axe sheath. It's words and words to live by right there. All right, here's one from Lee. Let's see here. When making two-part EVA foam boots, where one part is a cylinder shape that you would slide your shin through, and the second part is cemented to the shoe, what's the best way to attach part one to your leg so you can walk without it slipping or sliding around your leg, and so it doesn't clash with your boot or shoe or boot? I can tell you how I just made something like this. So I can tell you how I did that. My Titan armor has a piece that goes over my boot that isn't there permanently. I spent like $100 on these motorcycle boots, and I didn't want to glue anything to them because I want to use them again. So I put an elastic strap around the part that goes over the instep on my shoe, and that just slides on the front of the shoe. And there's a gap in the tread between the ball of my foot and the heel, and the strap just rests between those. So I'm not stepping on an elastic strap and slipping around. The shin piece is similar. It just has two buckles, elastic straps with buckles that go around my calf and my ankle. And it didn't want to rotate at all, which was nice. But if I was worried about that, I could put a strap under the bottom of it so that it loops under the same spot on my foot. So that's how I did my boot. And I also made it removable. How would you guys do a similar boot sort of thing?
Yeah, we do this similar thing. If we don't want to ruin the shoe, then yeah, we do the same thing. Boot covers is basically what you're making.
Like they're like spats. Like if you look up spats.
Yeah. The other thing, if you've got some things that will stop, there's a material that is surprising for stopping things to shift around. Fur. Fake fur. If you can put a thin layer of fur underneath, but it will stop it from rubbing around because the fur holds it in place. So it not for heat or anything, but it literally will stop it moving.
Yeah.
Or even some sort of anti-slip matting. So you've made the boot covers, but you want to just stick an anti-slip mat underneath. You can get them at cheap shops and just cut them up and stick them to the underneath.
There you
so
go.
It'll stop it twisting around.
Is that like the textured stuff that you would put like a shelf liner?
Yeah, or yes, the shelf liner is exactly what goes on there.
Cool. I actually have some of that shelf liner. I'll use it as it's got like a grid pattern on it, and I'll put that on a piece of armor and spray paint it and peel it off to give it like a fake carbon fiber texture. So I already have some of that.
No, right. Well, yeah, that'll stop you. And then also we use that occasionally to put underneath armor, just on the base to stop it wobbling around when you're wearing it.
There you go. Cool. All right, here we go. This one's from Recon 1, another question. Oh, and the last one was from Lee. Thank you, Lee. All right. Here we go. Bill. Hey, Bill, Tabby, and Nick. I'm a fellow Brit just starting out. I'm specializing in kids cosplay. So Recon 1 is making cosplay for children. His question is about what's a good UK substitute for Barge? This is a great question. What's the Latex Cement that you guys use?
Right. The best glue over here is a glue called Alpha Thixofix. It's a thixotropic contact adhesive, which means it's really thick. It looks like applesauce.
Yeah. It doesn't taste like applesauce at all.
No, no, I wouldn't advise either.
Worst breakfast ever.
You can get it on eBay over here. It isn't the cheapest, but it's the best. You can use Evo Stick, that will work, but Alpha's better.
All right. Well, we will put a note in the description below to that. That's Alpha Thixofix.
Yep.
And we'll go find it. I'm looking at the notes right now. Yeah, Britt's on top of it. All right, cool. By the way, thank you, Britt, who's my wife, and she's watching live right now. And she is all over the notes right now. She's a trooper. All right, cool.
I want to see her.
She's up. She can't come down. She's up. I'll have her come down before we sign out though. Right. Thank you, Recon 1. Good luck making costumes for kids. Here we go. This one's from Sam. How would you make foam look like fur? He's attempting to make it look like a molded plastic fur that you'd find on toys. So I'm guessing like if you had like an action figure of this, the one example he's giving is of a rat. With that's plastic, but there's just a fur-looking texture on it. How would you guys pull that off?
I heard you use a soldering iron.
We've done it a few times. A soldering iron. You can either scratch into it, or you can even stab into it, or both.
Yeah.
That works every time.
You can get them for like £30 on eBay.
Get soldering iron.
Yeah.
Just watch the fumes.
Yeah. Don't breathe in the melted plastic and foam fumes for sure. I did a little bit of that recently with my armor just to carve lines into it. But I've seen you guys pull off some really cool looking organic stuff like that, including the lizard thing you're working on right now.
We use the Dremel as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think the soldering iron is just a lot quicker.
Yeah, it is really fast.
And because it's rougher, it's more organic.
Yeah.
If you use a machine, it will look machine.
Here you go. Thank you, Sam, for your question. All right, this one's from Trusted Soul. Says, when it comes to doing prop work, was there a specific person or event that inspired you to walk down this path? How about you guys?
Not something that went wow.
I'll tell you a story, because I used to, when I was younger, I did live action role playing, run around and hit things with swords. And that's when I became friends with Nick, and I wanted to buy a sword from him. So I went down.
She was very little.
I was very little. and I wanted to go down to the workshop. And as soon as I got into the workshop and saw the swords everywhere and everyone working, I was pestering my mum to let me work there. I was like, please let me work there. And that's how I got into it, because I saw the workshop and I just fell in love with everyone just working away like the 7 dwarves. It was really good.
Yeah, with me, it was LARP. We started. I like to LARP. I like the look of the things, but I'm an artistic kind of guy, so I just started making my own stuff, and it went from there.
Oh, that old story.
Yeah, yeah, it went from there. You know that well.
Yeah,
who inspired you, Bill?
Well, I got into it through cosplay. My friends dragged me to some cosplay events, and so we did like the Team Fortress characters. And we all needed weapons, and I have a background in building things anyway, so I was like, I'll just make them. So I made just about all the props, like the medi gun from like the medic gun. I helped my friend make his revolver. I made my rocket launcher. I helped Brittany make her sniper rifle. What else? The scatter gun. Like we had just all the guns from Team Fortress 2. And after that, I mean, I learned so much about the process. That's when I started looking and seeing who else was out there building stuff. That's how I ran into Harrison Cricks. And I built all these things. And I was like, boy, that was an awful lot of fun. And then it was just a descent.
I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, a descent into madness. And then 3 years after that, I quit my day job. Whee! All right. Thank you for your question, Trusted Soul. Let's see, do we have any more over there? Let's see here. Cool. Ben has a question. I love making stuff, but I like making things that are not replicas. I want to make armor or props that don't belong to any fandom. Is there a market for that?
I think there is, if it's other people's design. So it doesn't have to be one that already exists, but someone might say to someone, okay, I want this cool set of armor, but I want it to be like an ice set of armor that's from this age. So
we found the best way of doing that is the inspired by stuff. If you find something that is in the public eye at the time, but you like your Destiny armor, make something that's similar so you can still get your creative juices flowing, but isn't just
also
copying.
Appeal to the masses.
Yeah. What I found is, which worked for me, is I'll make perfect replicas of something, or I think they're pretty close, of something from, say, Mass Effect. And when I use that to get my name out there, right? People start following my work because they like Mass Effect. And then what I've done is a couple of projects that are my own design, because I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the creative process there. I did a space gun for my Kickstarter a year or two ago. Because I already had a following from the Mass Effect and stuff that I did, I was then able to sort of apply that notoriety onto my own stuff. But getting that notoriety in the first place, it definitely helped be, leaning on those fandoms for the attention.
Yeah. It's much easier with the name first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go, Ben. A couple things for you to try. I'll tell you what, some of the things that I really enjoy seeing are the things that are like inspired by things that like are mashups, or someone will take a character that's well known and they'll pull it in their own direction and like really add something to it. That stuff's always really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. This one's from Cosplay Armory. They say, I use Sintra for my sword making, and I've used a combination of belt sander and Dremel to bevel it. See, a hard area to get into a bevel are inside curves. Any tips or tools to make it easier? Well, I can tell you what I use. I got an oscillating spindle sander, and it is wicked cool. It was about $150, and it's a really good one made by Shopfox. It's like a Dremel, except it's got a platform with just the bit sticking out of it, and the bit is long. It's like 5-6 inches long, and it spins, but it also oscillates up and down, so that you're not always using the same portion of the drum of the sanding bit, so it doesn't get all gummed up. And it's got a variety of different drums. There's like a 2-inch one all the way down to like a 1/2-inch one, so that you can get different diameter bevels, like inside curves and stuff. So that thing is really, really handy when you're doing that sort of stuff. Otherwise, you could get a drum sanding bit that's with like a 1/4-inch shank that you put into a drill press. That's a really good way to do that. It doesn't oscillate, but that's really handy too. Or you can go all the way down to a tiny Dremel.
Or you can do what I do, which is the old-fashioned way, which is wrap sanding paper around a pencil.
Yeah, and
do it by hand.
There you go. And I do that too for like really fine stuff. I have like several different diameter dowels with sandpaper glued to it, and I'll use that for inside rounded bits. So there you go, Cosplay Armory. Again, several things for you to try out. But if you have the money, go ahead and get that Oscillating spindle sander.
Because they're cool.
And you can get different grits too. So it comes with like an 80 grit sandpaper on it. It's really meant for removing material. And I got a set of 220 grit drums for that. And I ended up, especially on foam, I'll end up using that 220 more than anything. Because the 80 grit sandpaper will just all that foam. All right, here we go. This one's from Brendan. He says, not much of a question, but is there any chance you could get a link for Barge Cement in the UK? So yeah, we will try and find a link for the what was it? The alpha Thixofix stuff that you guys use. And if it's possible to get Barge over there, we'll link it. But I'm thinking it's not, because
I don't know. We have very strict rules over here for types of glue. They've just Alpha and Evo Sticker both in the last 5 years have undergone. They've had to take a lot of the toluene. They have to take a lot of that out.
Barge definitely has toluene in it.
Yeah, it may be that it's not allowed over here.
Yep. So there you go. All right, Brandon. Thank you. Next one. This one is also from Recon1. This is one more question. I want to make EVA foam parts as hard and durable like plastic. I've seen a video by X Robots where he sealed it in PVA and then poured smooth on 65D over it. Is this process viable, or do you have any other suggestions? I would go with Epsilon and just like lots of layers of it. I don't know why X Robots there use both PVA and 65D, because 65D will work. It's a urethane resin. You can just brush several layers on there. I don't know why you have to mix it up. But essentially any resin that cures solid and doesn't eat your foam should work.
You can even use car body filler if you really wanted to go something hard.
Yeah, you would just have to make sure you use a lot of it. Enough layers to get a nice thick shell on there.
Otherwise it would just crack.
That's right. But you can even fiberglass over your foam too, which we've done in the past as well to make the helmets for our Draugr. We fiberglass those.
I hate fiberglass.
You know what though? It's really, really durable. Pretty nice.
So there's a water-based fiberglass you can get now.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to use like polyester resin for that. All right, thank you, Recon. Let's see here. This one is from the Fedora Nerd. He says, I'm doing a Props 101 panel at a convention this weekend called ShutoCon. What would be the top 5 best tips for starting prop makers? It sounds like the Fedora Nerd here is getting us to build his presentation for him. I'll give you one really, really good tip. When you're building something and you're just getting started, pick something that you really, really like. Again, an appropriate level of ambition, but at some point you're going to get really frustrated working on a skill that you're not yet good at. And the only thing that's going to get you to the finish line is if you are passionate about that thing that you're making. That desire to see it finished is the only thing that will get you to the finish line. So yeah, pick something you really like.
The first thing I always say in panels is do your research. Like if you're doing a specific cosplay or item, just do your research. Make sure you know everything about it. Make sure you've got all the angles. Yeah, just do your research.
Yeah, I mean, my probably the first thing I'll put out is don't be afraid to screw it up. And have some spare material when you do. When you first start out, it's absolutely essential.
Learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. That's why I push so hard for people to try stuff out of foam, especially if you're just doing like the floor mat stuff, is that it's so ridiculously cheap to get floor mats over here. You can go to Harbor Freight. Sometimes they'll sell a 4-pack of those 2-foot by 2-foot sheets for $7. So you can get enough foam to make a set of armor for like $30. So I'm like, just try it and don't be afraid to screw up. And if you do screw up, throw it away and start again.
Also, if they are trying to keep costs down, because that's usually a common thing with beginners. I don't know about in America, but in the UK, you can go to our food superstores and they have tons of cardboard boxes that you can just use.
You can do some really
great stuff with cardboard.
Yeah.
And it's a great beginner's material.
Definitely. There you go. There's a couple things to put on your list there, Fedora Nerd. Good luck with your panel.
Good luck.
All right. Let's see here. This one's from Addison. Hey guys, I'm making an executioner axe from Resident Evil using EVA foam. I was planning on just using Plasti Dip to try and harden it. Is that good, or should I use something else to harden it? Well, I know what you guys are going to say.
Yeah, we'll go with latex. You go with Epsilon.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. They're talking about Plasti Dip here. I've only done a couple things with Plasti Dip, and but my wife Brittany is working on her own armor for Emerald City next week, and she got white Plasti Dip and she got their gold metallic Plasti Dip. And the real challenge is getting enough coverage, getting enough layers, because the foam is porous, and the Plasti Dip actually has a hard time of filling in those little pores unless you get lots of good layers on there. So buy more Plasti Dip than you think you need, and put like 4, 5, 6, 7 layers, lots of layers on there, which for the rubber you guys use, you end up putting pretty much the same number of layers on too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thin layers, lots of thin layers.
Yeah, lots of thin layers with that. So yeah, if you're going to go the Plasti Dip route, I highly recommend it. Just make sure you buy like several cans of it, because you will run out, and use many, many thin layers. Yeah, but the stuff that Brittany did, like she worked on it while I was gone, because while I was gallivanting about the UK, Brittany was hard at work. It looks great. It's really good and flexible, the Plasti Dip. The metallic stuff is really, really cool if you want to get a metallic finish. She ended up putting white over just about everything, and then the gold just on areas that needed to look gold. And the armor she's making is white and gold, so she already had her base color. She didn't really have to paint it very much, which was
how reflective is the gold?
It's pretty reflective. She's got the glossifier. Plasti Dip also makes a glossy finish, so that went over all of it. But overall, it was pretty good. I mean, I'm picky when it comes to metallic finishes when I'm using rigid props, but you have a lot more options there. So so for what she got and how easy it was to apply, it was pretty darn good. Well, I'll send you guys a can. You guys can play with it. All right. Good luck with your armor there, or your executioner axe, Addison. All right. We have a time for a couple more questions before we got to get out of here. This one's from Lippold. I'm looking to impress by playing a very big character at my next cosplay event. Do you have any tips for looking big, master, for more muscular? Like,
you can do the same technique.
One thing that you utilized in your last costume, heels.
Yes,
still, looking big is pick up a cheap, bulky material to work with.
Like sofa foam.
Sofa foam's good,
upholstery
or even
foam.
Stuffing.
Pillow stuffing.
Yeah.
You buy like cheap pillows.
Cheap pillows with lycra or anything will bulk you up. But bear in mind, it does get heavy and it does get hot.
Yep, definitely. So you just made that lizard arm out of upholstery foam, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you could definitely do, if you have a costume piece that's not like armor, if it's supposed to be like skin or like an exterior thing, you could build it out using the upholstery foam. what I like to do with, because I like to look bigger, because I'm a dude. I like to have big shoulders. I think big shoulders and getting the profile and the silhouette to look right on that makes a huge difference. So generally, like the shoulder, you may think like a shoulder piece would just hug your shoulder, but like my Titan armor, the shoulder piece rests like, I don't know, 6 inches outside of my arm, and that just makes me look like a big dude. So that's what I do.
And his heels.
And I got my motorcycle boots that are already 1.5 inches, and I bought heel lifts that go in there, and that made me another 1.5 inches. So that gave me
girls as well. If I'm doing boob armor, I'll make it come out.
Yeah. Give yourself the lift that you need.
Yeah.
No surgery needed.
There you go. Thank you for the question, Lippled. Let's grab one more here before we get out of here. Ben wants to know, have you ever had a problem selling props because of the lack of licensing? Have you ever been told to stop by a big company? I have not yet. Fingers crossed. Not yet. But I also know that there are several companies that I will not touch with a 30-foot pole because they are historically litigious companies like Disney, Disney/Marvel.
40K.
Yeah, most companies will not officially back any prop maker, but are very happy for us to get their products of whatever description out there. But if any of us went into mass production of things, that's when they start to stand and say, hold on a minute, you can't do that. Yeah. But generally, if we make 1s and 2s of things, most people are kind of cool with that, because all we're really doing is we're promoting their products.
Right. I would say that the best thing you can do if you do make something, so if you make a one-off of something, if I go and I make one thing, right, and I sell it to a client, there's nothing they can do to stop me, because it's already been sold. It's out the door. They could send me a thing and say, don't do that again. But they can't stop for the initial thing. If I, let's say, build a mold of that thing and try and sell copies of it, like, I don't know, a Star-Lord helmet, yelling at my shopmate over there who did exactly that, they may send you a cease and desist. And that's not, they're not suing you or anything. They're just saying, hey, cut that out. If that does happen, then comply. Don't be a jerk and try and sell it behind their back, because then they will sue for damages. And that's not something you want to have happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cease and desist, not the end of the world. Definitely comply.
We had one from a larger company, but that's because we made the mistake, I suppose, of asking. Yeah. Whereas if we hadn't have done, I think they'd have just let it go. But because we actually asked them if we could make one thing, then unfortunately their official response was no, you can't. But I'm pretty sure if we'd have just done it, that'd have been fine.
Yeah, that must have been ages ago, because I don't remember receiving that email. Yeah.
That's
it was a very long solicitor's letter.
One of those cases where sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I learned.
That's what you get for being honest. When
I know. Who would go on an airplane?
Yeah. All right. That's about it for the question, you guys. Thank you, everyone who showed up and asked your fantastic questions. Your content really drives the show, so thank you for showing up. And you guys, Nic and Tabitha, again, thank you so much for letting me stay at your house.
Yeah, just sorry about the really poor camera, but it's the backup one. There you go.
Our Twitch stream is not this bad.
No. Yeah, and definitely too, guys. In fact, if you're watching right now, you can go to, can you subscribe to Twitch channels? Like if they go to the RTfix one?
If they go to,
they follow it.
Yeah, they follow us. And it's free to follow, www.twitch.tv/RTfakes.
There you go, and they'll get notifications when you guys go live. They do live streams from their shop all the time, so you can really dive in and see their process.
Just like you, we answer any questions anyone's got.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. Other than that, let's see, next week for us is Emerald City Comic Con. I'm going to have some people, some friends, other makers zipping in and out of here, so we're still going to do a show next week. The timing may be a little goofy, but we'll have some people live in studio, I hope, and that'll be really fun. So until next week, everyone, go make some stuff. All right.
Bye all.
Bye.